Hey, hey, phenomenal women of God. Y'all, we are on our May lunch bites, Thursday lunch bites, Coach Dawn and Coach LaDondra. And we are talking about pack it up and sell it, girl. Pack it up and sell it. So, this is us getting into our theme of the month, which is sales. And I know that many of you think that you probably think sales is like an icky type of thing, it's icky kind of situation because you've been icked. You like how I'm putting all this? That's it. It feels good to me. And see, you've been in a kind of icky situation where you're like, man, like they're just selling and whatever, whatever. But then there's the beautiful side of sales too. And how many of you have been into those type of environments to where it's like, oh my gosh, like you walk in this wonderful boutique or you walk in this wonderful high-end restaurant and you see yourself in that, like you resonate with the space that you've stepped in. Listen, that is a form of selling. Like they've sold you instantly on the experience that they wanted to create with their brand. And so we're going to tap into that from a product and a service standpoint, give you a few tips on how to really look at it from a mindset standpoint and a practical standpoint. But as we getting into this, what I'd like you to do is for you to um, put in the comments, let us know that you're here first and foremost, and let us know what comes to you when it comes to selling. Like, what's that first feeling? Like, do you give me put a emoji in? Is it like a like I'm excited? Is it the cartwheel kind of emoji, or is it like a money emoji where it's like transactional, or you get to pick. You get to pick. Like, is it elegant? Whatever. Like, let us know what comes up to you, and what's that first thought when you think about sales and all of that. Coach Don.
All right, I had to come off of mute. Yes, selling is that big thing, right? That we all are like it, we have some emotion and feelings around, right? We have mindset around, and we're going to kind of talk about that too. So it's interesting, Coach Ladondra, that you brought up that boutique style, because that's exactly you and who you are and what experience you're looking for. And we were just talking about this the other day between you and myself and the third member of our accountability group, right? We all have different perspectives on shopping, I'll say, and the experience that we want to have. And so it is different when you're looking at things from your lens, right, versus your audience's lens. So you definitely want to make sure that you're coming at it from an approach of both. So from the owner of the business, right, and we're going to talk more about that, versus the target audience that you're looking to tap into and sell your product or service. So it definitely is, there is a difference, right? So there is a difference between a product and a service in the way you approach things. So we're going to talk about product first, because that's where we're going first, and then we'll lead into service. And some things are going to be the same for both, but for a product, it's different, right? Because you can feel it, you can touch it, you can see it, you can smell it, you can taste it, all the things like that come up with a product. So it definitely is different than a service that is just, provided maybe online or in a different avenue, maybe in person. So, first of all, when you talk about or think about packaging your product, what does it look like? Is it appealing to the eye? Because that's the first thing that is going to come across, is what are they seeing? And so you obviously want to stay on brand, right? If you're going to buy a bottle of Coca-Cola and it doesn't have that red band around it, it's not Coca-Cola, right? Or maybe it's a special season of Coca-Cola. Maybe it's a special branding, but you're going to see that script font, Coca-Cola. You're going to see all that. You're going to know immediately that's the brand you're looking for. So you always want to stay on brand with your products, right? When people look at it, they're going to know it's you from the colors that are in your brand, from the font that's in your brand, even from the words that you use on the packaging itself. So it's really important to always be consistent. So having that cohesive brand is really important. And if you're still in that season of not really knowing what your brand looks like, what your brand stands for, and all of those things. Like that's the stuff that we help our next level mastermind clients with, is to really tap into what is your brand? Who are you? What are you a stand for? Who are you serving? Why are you serving them? And that portrays itself in your marketing, in your branding, in your packaging. And so think about Tiffany, that blue box with the blue ribbon. You know that's from Tiffany, right? And when you get that box, you're excited because you know that that stands for quality. And so definitely quality is important. So you want to be consistent when it comes to appealing to the eye of your customer with your product. Coach LaDondra, you have anything on that, or you want me to move on to point number 2 on that?
Go ahead. Go ahead, because I think that what I'm going to say is going to wrap into both. So you go right ahead, and then I'll come in and I'll do some wrapping.
Okay, great. She's going to wrap it up. Y'all see how we doing that? Okay, so if you're selling a physical product, now I'm going to go into the senses. And right now I'm going to talk about the smells. All right. So if you're selling cookies, that needs, you have a storefront, maybe you have a storefront, maybe not, but you're selling cookies. You want that smell to resonate through your space. You want to be able to have people smell that. And I think about a example of a retail store, like they tap into the sense of smell even in their marketing. When you walk in the door of certain high level retail stores, they have stuff scent wafting through the HVAC units, the AC units, right? To give you a pleasing sensory experience when you walk through that door. Because everything, y'all, we have senses. God gave us the senses to use: sight, hearing, smell, taste, touch, right? All of those things. And in marketing and in sales, every one of those is important. Every one of those is critical, even smell, but especially if you have a product that has a smell to it. Okay. So you want to make sure that, even realtors, when they bring people in to show a house, they've got smells going. They've got either warm cookies baking, or they've got some, citrus stuff in the air, because that's light and brings joy and happiness and all those things. So make sure that the product you're selling, if it does have a smell component, that is pleasing to your customer as well. That's really, really important. And then on touch, all right, think about the packaging itself, because a lot of people have sensory, touch sensory things that, right, they want to feel a heavy box, maybe, that your stuff is coming in, to know that it's really high quality, high value. My friend just gave me, it's funny, we have Christmas, birthday back to back, and we never are at the right time exchanging gifts. So I just gave her Christmas and birthday the other day. She just gave me Christmas the other day. So, but the box that she gave me, it was this beautiful black box from Neiman Marcus, actually, even though the gift wasn't from Neiman, but that's okay. But the box was heavy. It was beautiful. And you open it and you're expecting something great to come out of that box, and it was great. But what is it that you're packaging your product in? Does it have bows? Does it have ribbon? Is it in a burlap bag? Is it in a box? Is it, the crinkle cellophane paper or cellophane bag? Does it have the little confetti stuff in it? All of those things make a difference, and they all represent you, who you are, and how. If you're selling joy, like our joy junkie, Miss Nikki Cruz, she is going to have a whole bunch of fun festivity type stuff in her packaging if she has a physical product. So think about who you are, what your brand stands for. Is it more corporate, right? Does it need to be more sleek, more just, I don't want to say not fun, right? But corporate, there's just a difference between corporate and joy junkie, right? There's there's a difference there. And your audience expects that, right? If you have a corporate audience and they're expecting something from you that is like, this is a corporate gift, it's on point, it's on brand, it makes a difference, it's of high value, and the packaging exactly is going to be what it needs to be for you and your brand. If you're fun, be fun. If you're corporate, be corporate, and everywhere in between. If you're a creative, obviously your packaging is going to be very creative, right? And so definitely tap into all of the senses when you're thinking about your product and how you're presenting it to your potential client. Coach LaDondra, what do you have to say about all that?
Yeah, I think that you did a phenomenal job in explaining that. And so here's what I have to say, you guys, is that when it comes to selling your product, you have to first, and you know me, I'm going to come with the mindset. You have to first know what stance are you making in the marketplace, right? And I mean, like Coach Don said, we go way deep on this in our mastermind. If you're interested, you can DM us. But the thing about that is that know who you are. Like, are you a high end brand? Are you you want to represent yourself as that way, where it's about status? Your product is about status, it's about elite, and attracting the elite. Is it something in the middle, to where it's kind of it has that elite component, but then it also has kind of like this fun component to it, or it has this innovative compute or artsy or whatever kind of component to it? So you may be like in the middle. Or are you a lower end brand? And when I say lower end, a lot of times we're like, oh my gosh, look, I don't want to be a low. Listen, Walmart makes just as much money as a lot of the other high end. The point is that you got to be true to what's your stance in the marketplace. And once you understand what your stance is in the marketplace, then it informs the decisions that you make, like what Coach Don was talking about. Like what's going to be those font and those logos and the colors and the different things like that. Because if you're a high-end brand, then hey, listen, you better speak, you better have that sleek, sexy font that's popping and all of that. If you're somewhere in the middle, then you want to have that look that appeals to those clients. And then the same way. And so I really want you guys to just really think about that and honor that, because there is no wrong or right way of doing that. But the point is to be consistent. That is the key. To be consistent, stay true, stay authentic, and represent yourself, your product as such. And when you do those things, you are already selling whatever you're putting out, that's appealing to the eye, that's appealing to the senses, that's appealing to the touch. That is an instant sale. When I go into Kirkland's, they sell product, but instantly, every time, without fail, you walk in the door, you smell all this wonderfulness. And guess who go pick up all of the wonderfulness? I don't even need no more scents. But because Kirkland smell like that, I'm like, man, I need my home to smell like that. I go get the spray. My house don't smell like that. That's because they got it like off in the air ducts or something like that. And I'm over here man, trying to put the thing. But they made a sale instantly when I went in the door, because they appealed to my senses. And a lot of times we think that we minimize that aspect of it. It's all a sale. The way that it looks when I'm in there, I'm looking and I'm like, ooh, like, so now I'm gonna come into Coach Don already told you the stuff I like. Great. So when I go off into like White House Black Market, what appeals to me is I like the order, and it's like it's custom. It feels it's not messy. I cannot deal with the messiness. Like, that's why I can't handle Goodwill, because I'm like, no, I'm instantly walking out the door, because yeah, it may be some wonderful stuff in there, but that doesn't appeal to my senses. It doesn't appeal to my sight. And there's no wrong or right way, because one of our other friends, she loves the experience of that and gets some amazing deals and look just as fabulous as I do in the same, like with what I'm picking versus where she's at. But that's why it's so important to be true to who you are, your ideal audience, all the things, right? And so the last thing and what we have in here is when we're talking about packaging is know your story, know the story behind the product and what you're selling. Because if people buy based on emotion, right? And so if I can't emotionally connect with the product of what you're providing, and we talked about storytelling last month, like in tapping into your story, you really want to know your ideal audience, and you really want to know how your story or the story of your brand relates to them, so that they can really like embody that, they can really step into that, and they can see themselves like, man, like, she I think of what is it called? Let me think. Tom shoes. They're selling a product, right? But the story that they use is that for every shoe that you buy, they're giving that shoe to another shoe to children in need. Like, that story is emotionally provoking for you to want to buy that product. Like, and so you want to mix all the components together, stir it up in the pot, make it yummy and juicy so that it appeals to your ideal client.
Absolutely. And you know what? When we get into now packaging your services, the story and all of that behind that is going to be even more important, in my opinion, because when you're selling a service, you are literally selling yourself, basically, right? You're selling yourself, you're selling your knowledge, your experience, your expertise, and all of those things that you've done to get to where you are in your business, where you're trying to help people to shorten their time frame of what they're trying to do, right? You've been where they are. Now you've got the helping hand that you're pulling them along, like, hey, I've been where you are, and here's what happened to me. Here's my story. Here's how I overcame that. So telling your story in service is so, so important. But I'm going to start again with being appealing to the eye, right? This is where branding comes in equally as important. Are your graphics on point? Because people, if you're not directly in front of them and you're doing social selling, then they are only seeing the graphics that you're putting out. They're seeing the things that you're creating in Canva. They're seeing you coming in on a live, video. They're seeing your stories. They're seeing your reels. They're seeing all those things. So sight and hearing online with your service is really important. So are you saying the right things that are congruent with your message, with your branding? Are they seeing the things that are, color consistent, right? Your branding, your fonts, all of those things. When you start switching that up and getting off brand, then they're confused. They get confused, and a confused mind never buys. So we definitely want to make sure that they're not confused when they're looking at you online and thinking about buying your services. Okay, so emotion. This is super, super, super important when it comes to your service, because again, you are selling yourself and where you've come from and what you have to offer them. So that story and evoking that emotion is so, so super important, because if they're not resonating with what you're saying and who you are and where you've come from, and they're saying, that's me and I know that she can help me get to where I want to be, then there's going to be a disconnect, and they're not going to tap in. They're not going to keep following you. They're not going to, be willing to invest their time and their dollars in what you're offering. So evoking emotion is super important. Think about the commercials that evoke emotion, whether it's laughter, whether it's sadness, joy, all the things. Like, you have to be tapped in to even be willing to say, well, what product are they talking about? Or what service are they talking about, right? So tapping into that emotion of the story is super, super important. Coach LaDondra, what are your thoughts on that versus service versus product and what the difference is there?
You want my real answer?
Sure.
Look, y'all, this is how we be in the team meeting. I'm like, you want my real answer? Because we don't go over these per se. We kind of come from our own different perspectives, and I think that everything that Coach Don just said is 100% on point. But if you're truly trying to take your service into the next level, you don't want to just land at service, right? If we're talking about sales and you're selling your service, what you want to do is you want to get to the point to where you are you're turning your service into a form of like a digital product, right? You want to package your intellectual property into some form. And so I know that it's easy to just look at it as, oh, okay, like I just, and that's when you start diminishing and it's just like I just, but it makes it harder for you to sell because it's like it's invisible. Like you really can't, there's nothing that you feel. And first, like again, you have to be sold on your stuff first. And I will say that in the beginning I really struggle with this because I'm like, man, like I don't have no cookies, or I don't have like, something. And you go to like these vendor, like these events where it's like, what are they called? Vendor booths and stuff like that, Dawn. And so it's
Mhm.
like you go to those and you're like, okay, I got a service. But the thing about that is when you're able to really understand how to package your intellectual property in a way to where it's like it's appealing to the eye, it's provoking to the senses, and it really tells the story. That's when you're really tapping into another level. And there's so many ways that you can do that. It depends on you. Like it could be as simple as you turning your intellectual property into, which is a service, right? Like I serve with my mind, but now I'm showing you how I do that by turning that into a tangible workbook. Totally just made that up. But this is, or I turn that my intellectual property into a book, whether it's a digital book or it's a hard copy book. But people can now, they can, there's something they can connect to, and it's not them just trying to connect with you and you being so great. It's like, here's what I'm offering you. And so you really got to be strategic in how you are doing that, because based on your ideal audience, you can be calling yourself trying to sell something that they don't want. And so that's
Mhm.
where research really comes into play. And if you really do some deep dive research on the things, like when it comes, because brand sales, it all goes together, right? And so when you really do research, there are certain colors that provoke a certain feeling, right? Or emotion. And so if you have like your product, whether it's digital product, service, or whether it's a physical product, and it's a color that's not resonating, then it may be feel to them like red may be a stop sign, like ooh. Or it may be that it communicates a lack of trust, right? And so you want to understand the mindset behind your ideal client, and know what colors to use, know what type of fonts that's appropriate, know that, so you can create an experience. This is all. So when we think about this, again, your brand is the experience that you create, which leads to the transaction of selling, right? And so if you don't know what that brand experience is, how can you create an appealing product or service that your ideal audience is going to connect to? So the point that I'm making is, take your intellectual property, make it something tangible that you can resonate with first, that you're bought on first, so that you can offer that to your client. And when I say first, that means it's something that that's true to you, where you fill in a gap in the marketplace, that's based on your unique gifts, your talents, your experience, the passion in which that you've been called to do, and then offer that, package that up in a service that is going to appeal to your ideal audience.
Yes, absolutely. And that gets back to, right, selling the story and connecting with your audience. If you don't have a belief around what you're selling, yourself, a digital product, a physical product, if you don't have belief behind what you're putting out there and selling, you're going to have mixed emotions about, first of all, putting it out there, showing up and putting it out there in the market, right? Second of all, you're going to have some emotion around the prices that you're asking your
Yep.
people to pay, right? And so we were just talking about this with our in our group the other day, and it was like my suggestion to them was, you know what, start saying it out loud, like, believe in your product, believe in your pricing where it is today. Believe it and say it out loud. Walk around your house, your office, whatever that is, and just say, oh, yeah, my service is I provide XYZ to this type of person. These are the results they're going to get. And the price, you know, the investment for that is this. And you just say it out loud to nobody, right? But you say it over and over again. And so that you know, it's just solidifying in your brain, in your spirit, that it is good, right?
Yeah.
It is good. Because like we talked about what last week or whatever, you know, when God created, at the end, he said, it is good. So you've created this product or service, and you know that it's valuable for someone. You know that it's going to help them, you know, overcome some pain point that they have, right? Where you've been to where you are now, that's some pain getting to that point. You know that you can help them alleviate that pain. You know that there's a gap, right, from where they want to be to where they are right now. You can help bridge that gap. You have to believe in that so wholeheartedly that, like, the investment is nothing. So you've packaged up a belief, but you have to package up that belief in your own mind first,
That's
and then
good.
be able to convey that out to your audience. If you don't believe it, they're not going to believe it, and they're not going to buy it. And that's the whole storytelling thing. And it's not a storytelling in fantasy. That's not what I'm saying. It's the story of reality that got you to where you are today, and the way that you can help them bridge that gap to a better place, to have a better outcome. Results is the thing that they want to know. What are the results I'm going to get from
Yeah.
purchasing your service and working with you? That's what you're selling, is the results, and what's in it for them, right? So when you can connect on that level to the right person in the right season, with the right words, the right colors, the right font, the right packaging, the right messaging, that's when, and it's all authentic. It's not made up. It's all authentic, and it's what you wholeheartedly believe because you've experienced it and you know it works.
Yeah.
That's when sales happen just automatically.
That's good stuff. I have nothing to add to that. You nailed it. Boop. Like I need like a bell or something. Like you nailed
Here
it.
we go. Look, I'll do my own stuff.
I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. So, well, you guys, I hope that you guys have really taken this in, and you know how we roll around here. We're not about just taking in information. We do something with what we hear, right? We do something with what we hear. And so if it's just one thing that you take from this, like just go write a note and apply it. What are some pivots that you can make based on what we've discussed? Is there something that you need to do to appeal to the senses? Is there, the five senses? And just think of it, the five senses: my eyes, the taste, touch, ears. I don't remember the other sense, but all the senses, right? And so I want to even say, I want to challenge you to kick in and into that sixth sense, and say, does it spiritually connect with my ideal client? That's when you're really hitting some deep stuff right there, and that's what we are training our woke next level clients. Woke for us as women operating kingdom enterprises is really kicking in on that sixth sense and really tap into the power of the Holy Spirit to inform like what needs to happen for your sales, right? Like what's that next thing, right? That's going to make them connect with what you have to offer, because guess what? Deep resonates with deep, right? And so there's something deep in their soul that resonates deep with what's in your soul spiritually. And when you can really package your stuff, whether it's a product or service, in a way that it resonates, man, you've hit another level. You've hit another level. And now you're rising from, you're just, instead of being in the noise, you're rising up to be a solutionary, a lighthouse in your industry. Gone are the days of us feeling, and I'm about to wrap this up, but gone are the days of us feeling like we're being believers, right? We're believers, but then we're caught up in the noise as believers, Christian women entrepreneurs, Christian women operating kingdom enterprises, right? we really got to learn how to start tapping into the power that we already possess. And there's something that's on the inside of you, right? That is so powerful, that is unlike anyone else. But what's happening is that we're conforming to the ways of the world. We're trying to package our services how they do, because that's what they said do. We're trying to have the same senses going on. We're trying to, and we stop at the five senses, right? Because that's what the world say do. What if we tapped into that next level,
Yes.
into the word, and we allow the Holy Spirit to activate something on the inside of us, to where now we're starting to communicate with our clients at a spiritual level. Man, I'm telling you, you want to make a sale? Talk to them spiritually, like where they are and where they're needing help at. That's when they're like, oh my gosh, like this, who is this? Like, I don't, the price at that point, because I hear people talk about the price, right? At that point, the price becomes irrelevant, right? It now is just making sure you're putting it in front of the right people. So it's not necessarily that, oh, they can't afford it. You're probably just not talking to the right people at that point, because then the right people, they're like, I'll pay, I'll give him a whole check. If you can give me this type of result, like, here's the whole check. I'm good, because I don't see this as a cost. This is an investment that I'm going to see being returned back to me and my family, and it's going to create a legacy impact. Is that the kind of mindset that you have going on with yourself? Or are you at hello? Are you at hello and you stopped at hello? Can we get to the point to where we're at transformation, and we get to the point to where we're at spiritual transformation and elevation that's unlike anyone else? So that, Coach Dawn, I'll let you take us out.
Look, another mic drop. There we go, y'all. That was so good. That I'm glad you brought that sixth sense in, because it was in my brain earlier to say and I didn't say it. So I love that, because that's exactly where you do tap into the greatness and the brilliance of the creator, and you speak to your people authentically using your God-given gifts. So you guys, that is where we are focusing next week, actually. So next week we have a whole different platform. We will not be in the Lunch Bites on Thursday. What we will be doing is the Gifted Summit. So we have 20 amazing speakers from around the world, and they are going to be coming in every day, Monday through Friday next week. So we start on Monday, y'all, for the Gifted Summit. If you have not registered, completely free. You can upgrade to the VIP experience, which is going to be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday evening, 6 p.m. You're going to get your specific questions answered. You get to talk to these 20 women and be like, hey, how did you do this? What can I do here with my business, right? We're going to have spotlight coaching. We're going to have prayer. We're going to have it's going to be amazing in the VIP experience. So you definitely want to upgrade. So if anyone has shared their link with you, please use that link to get into the VIP experience. Otherwise, go to the Gifted Summit. We'll drop in the link here to register. You can come in and watch the speakers completely free. But if you do upgrade to the VIP, you're going to get lifetime replays of all those 20 interviews, and you're going to get, so we've got some amazing VIP swag bags. Oh my gosh. It's just, we have over $3,500 in prizes and bonuses that these VIPs, these speakers have gifted our VIPs. It's just amazing. It's amazing what can happen when women operating Kingdom Enterprises come together in a collaborative effort, right? We're not here to compare. We're not here to be perfect. We're here to collaborate. We're here to elevate, lift one another up. Sister, that's what they're going to be doing next week. And these interviews are going to be amazing. You do not want to miss it. Tapping into their gifts that they have been able to tap into to create 6, 7, even 8-figure businesses. Y'all, priceless. Priceless. Join today. We'll see you next week, Monday, starting 10 a.m. Central. Be in the room. You do not want to miss it.
One thing.
Yes, ma'am. Look, Coach LaDondra has one more thing.
Yes. So, a success principle: leaders don't eat alone. Jesus did not eat alone. He ate with his 12 disciples. So if we are to model what he did, right? Don't eat alone.
Mm.
Invite your business besties, invite your neighbor who you know she's been struggling. But so you hear it, right? And you hear that, hey, she's going at it alone. Don't let her struggle by herself. If she's coming to your mind, invite her. And
Yes.
because listen, it's time for us to elevate as Christian women entrepreneurs. Why is the world beating us out in things that we are called to do, right? So we have curated some amazing speakers for
Yeah.
a reason, for such a time as this. Now is the time for us to rise up as Christian women operating kingdom enterprises. And it's not about us just elevating by ourselves, it's about us locking arms as a sisterhood. So if you know somebody, invite her. Don't slip on this moment. She needs to be in a room. We're in a new hour. We're in a season where I'm telling y'all, God is about to do a thing. You don't like God is about to do a thing, and you want to be in the atmosphere. See, those who were in the atmosphere on the day of Pentecost, they were blessed, right? They were in the right atmosphere to receive the impartation of the Holy Spirit. Get your people in the right atmosphere so they can receive an impartation of the Holy Spirit. Get your daughter in the room. Y'all, I be having my daughter off in some things because if she can't hear it from me, I'm getting her in the room where that impartation just gonna fall on her. We are about building generational wealth. So if your daughter or your son needs to be, because we got some gentlemen that are in the room like and that's joining, and they're welcome. If you're Christ-like and you're ready for this thing, get them in the room. I'm telling you, there's some things that's shifting. Stay in touch with the things that we're doing, because we're tapping in, and we're tapping in deep, and we're coming at another level. And it's starting with the summit, but man, the rest of this year, it's a year to look forward to. That's where I want
Amen.
to end. We love y'all. We'll talk to you later. Don't forget to register. Bye.